Hi, everybody. Meg Young here. I am back talking to you about some tips and tools to help you get through this COVID-19 crisis. What's really been interesting is the length of time that this is going on. That there's the initial crisis phase, and after that initial crisis phase, a lot of things became more like a new norm. That new norm kind of settled in like this sucks, but this is what it is. But now that it's been a new norm for a few months, it's actually becoming almost like a crisis again. So one of the things I wanted to touch base with you today about is how you're doing. It doesn't really matter if you're in New York where there's a huge crisis or you're in a state that doesn't have as much going on. There's a similarity of how difficult the initial crisis is and then it becoming a norm. So people in New York, their norm has become this is unmanageable. Whereas people in other states might be thinking their new norm is what's up with this? When's this just going to all go away? One way or the other, it's a new norm for you. But over time, the amygdala still says we're in danger. And over time, the amygdala gives in and says enough's enough. The world's a bad place, and we're just going to stay activated. So where we are now becomes almost a second crisis because now it's like, I can't live like this anymore. It's one thing if this was a short term and be done with it. But when we don't see hope, when we don't see an end in sight, it makes it much more difficult for us to say, I can keep going. It makes it much more difficult to say, I can do this. And instead of it getting better, more and more restrictions are being put in place. More and more things are happening that are making us realize that this is a big deal, making us restrict our movement more. You go to the grocery stores and they have, lines on the ground. They have blocks in front of the cashiers. And those are things that weren't there a couple weeks ago that are there now. And I'm sure it's changed. Every state is different in terms of when they started these processes. But things continue to happen to restrict movement, to show that this is still going on really, really strongly. And everyone that's still on the front lines, all of the first responders, all of the doctors, the nurses, all of the therapists who are now dealing with this online stuff. Many therapists have never dealt with online therapy, and now they're trying to figure it all out. Boom, do it. Don't prepare for it, just do it. Many therapists who've done online therapy have basically prepared for it. They took the time to think through, what do I want to do for this? What platform do I want to use? Why do I want to use that platform? What about a telehealth consent? What about safety, for my clients in terms of, are there any domestic violence issues? Are there any childcare issues? What are the suicidal clients going to do? Loss of technology, things like that. So a lot of people that are used to this or that have been doing telehealth for a long time might be like, oh, okay, just, well, now we're going to do more people online. But a lot of therapists haven't done online therapy. And it's like, boom, do it. Same with doctors. A lot of them don't do this. So they're sitting there saying, I don't really know how. I haven't figured that out yet. So they're still trying to figure all of that out. All of the grocery store workers and everybody else who is not usually a frontline worker, thank you so much. And you are dealing with things that you weren't ever intending to deal with. So the initial crisis is one thing. Then we become a new norm. And then we end up with a second crisis. And that second crisis is, how long is this going to last? We can generally get through things if we know how long it's going to last. One of the biggest problems when it comes to trauma is the unknown and the length of time it's going to continue on. One of the things I want to point out for you today is that second wave of crisis feeling is normal. That second wave of crisis feeling is, you're not alone in that. And we're all dealing with that second wave of crisis. So I want you to think about for yourselves, what do I need to do? What are the things that I've been doing that have been helpful? What do I need to put on hold? Where can I find the good news? Where can I find things where I can take away from this? Goodnewsnetwork.org is pretty cool. It's got a lot of really good news instead of just the negative news. And then there's a lot of other places you can go to find funny memes or good news in different ways or shapes or form. I know in where I am in Florida, Manatee County is doing a lot with, they have on Facebook, they have Manatee Strong. And Manatee Strong is how the county is pulling together, what different people are doing within the county to pull together, what restaurants are doing, what first responders are doing, what people are doing, people who are out there to help, what other organizations are doing, how we can all pull together and work together. So take a look at that stuff as well. See what your county and your state is doing to band together, to bring people together during this crisis, so you don't feel so alone, so you don't feel so helpless. As you're sitting there just trying to figure out how long, you could also be trying to figure out, what can I do? Where's my control? When you bring back your control, you start to feel a little bit better. One of the problems with it lasting so long is the unknown, is the lack of control. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. You're very normal for dealing with that second wave of crisis. And when you find that where you can have some of your own control back, it helps you to feel less stressed in the moment. So tell me where you're going to find some of that control to help you through the second wave of crisis for yourself. Where are you finding that control, and what is one or two things you're going to do to bring back some control for yourself? Let me know either in the comments or send me an email. I look forward to our next conversation.